So today we are going to talk about chapter 11. It's not going to be on your exam 2, but it's going to be on your exam 3. So still pay attention, but don't need to worry about this for the exam tomorrow. Announcements. Your assignment 2 is due today, and your exam is on Wednesday. Don't forget about it. So I guess no questions about the exam? Yes?
Well, it's not an exam, but when will we hear back about that extra credit assignment?
Extra credit assignment. Which assignment?
The one that was like completed.
Oh, the group assignment? We might need to wait a little bit. Emily's not back yet. And then we're going to evaluate and then make decisions who will be the winners. Okay? All right. Okay. If you don't have any other questions, we're going to move forward. Let's see how many students we have today. 25. Okay. All right. So, the one-on-one game I won. Have you guys decided who's going to write me a review?
We didn't even know for one yet until today. So
Okay. All right.
We'll figure out.
Talk about it. Find a person who can write a decent review. All right. You guys don't seem very happy.
To be honest,
I will accept another challenge if you have any. But you will have another extra credit opportunity coming soon for the study, so don't worry. So for today, we are going to talk about what motivation is. Yes.
Sorry, before you continue, on the lady that came last week, is there like a time period for the extra credit, or it's just if you go do it with her?
You can just go do it with her before I calculate your final grades this semester.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we're going to talk about what motivates us. Okay, so let's do a class activity together. Tell me what motivates you. So I want you to list 5 different things that motivate you. So what you do is you go to menti.com and then you use the code 97701176, and then you can list the 5 things that motivates you the most. Okay. And we can see the results in live. Okay. Have you guys put it in already? Or you're just thinking about it? Okay. Take your time. This is actually what I put yesterday as experiments. I want to make sure this works. Don't get skewed by my answer. Yes. The code? Yes. 1 second. It's 97701176. Okay. If you already finished, raise your hand. Why is it not showing? Let me refresh. Ah, okay. All right. So family, if you haven't finished, continue. I'll just refresh this at the end. So we see the largest is family, friends, family, money, success, food, failure. Okay, failure actually can be a motivation. Very good. Positive feedback. Pressure. Okay. Grades. Impressing others. I'm gonna refresh and see if we get more answers. Okay, it's about the same. So we have people, grades. So you kind of get a sense of what they are, even though they're not the same, but you can categorize together, right? Let's say love, fear, what else? So I would say those are emotions, happiness right here. So those like emotions can motivate you, right? And then family, people, those are social connections. Money, grades, goals, future career, those will be kind of like your life goals, right? So there are different categories, but we can kind of agree that we have pretty similar motivations, right? Okay. So, what is motivation? Motivation is the urge to move towards one's goal or goals and to accomplish tasks. And this cannot be directly observed. Like behavior, we can just observe what people behave and how do they behave, and we can get an idea what they're doing. But motivation is very hard for us to observe it directly. We have different factors that influence the initiation, direction, intensity, and persistence of our behavior. Those factors include biological factors such as food, water, sex, etc., and emotional factors such as panic, fear, love, hatred. Cognitive factors, so those will be our perceptions, beliefs, expectations from yourself or your family. Okay. And then social factors, and those will be peer pressure and other people's reactions. If you behave certain way, people react badly, you're not going to behave the same way again. Well, most likely, right? So those will be the 4 factors that can influence our behavior or our motivation. So let's do a question. You tried a new haircut that's in all the fashion magazines. Everyone seems to like the new haircut. What kind of factors is influencing your behavior here?
D.
Okay, very good. So it's social, right? You are trying to look at others' reactions and you're trying to look at magazines. Okay. You put a jacket on this morning because you feel cold.
A.
Okay. Should be biological, right? You dropped the course because you think the grades will not help your GPA.
Cognitive.
Okay. You guys agree? Cognitive? Okay. So it's cognitive. You offered to tutor the girl sitting next to you because you like her.
Emotional.
You guys agree? Emotional? All right. Very good. So now let's do another activity. So imagine that you're on a plane trip, but your plane crashes on a deserted island. So I want you to discuss with your group and come up with what you would do. So what you would do first, second, third, and let's imagine you're going to be there for a while, say months. So what would be your priorities from top to bottom? Okay, I'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes to talk about this as a group.
I guess depending on I would say first I would check the airplane and see what like survivors because I don't know, and you can find like I don't know airplanes have like supplies and they have foods carts and stuff like that. Maybe that would survive. Next, I would honestly try finding like shelter because you can last a while without eating, and it is big with the shots. You wouldn't want you don't eat, and honestly when you sleep you can get like I don't know. When I sleep, I'm not hungry anymore afterwards. Once I have shelter, I would try getting water because I know water is you need more water than anything because you can still act when you're hungry, but when you're thirsty and dehydrated, it can cause more damage. Once that, probably find like some type of heat because I know the nights and stuff. Unless well, it depends where you crash, but that light will be great. And then maybe if I have time, food. If not, like this next thing is gonna be food no matter what. And then once I have somewhat of that, knowing that I'm not gonna die outright, it'll be find a way to signal people. Like, yo, I'm here. I've watched way too many Making It Afraid. Way too much.
How far away you are from the land, you really get understand. The way you want to
How did you do it first one?
Hey,
Huh? I barely got it. I got an 80, but then that one question you used was 81, 82, something like that. But not the best, but hopefully better because it's less memorizing now. It's more like understanding the topics and applying them. And now I also know take my time with the test because I rushed through like reading some of the stuff.
Okay, seems like that's a natural end of the discussion. All right, so let's see. How many of you will first look for physiological sources like food, water? Okay, a lot of you.
Kind of, yeah.
And then safety, like building a shelter. Okay, would you agree that would be the order that you guys discussed? Okay. And then belongingness and love. Try to find more survivors. No? Okay. Okay. So those will be later in the stage after you secure your survival instincts. You will become like a small society. You will establish esteem. So have you guys seen survival shows that they put people on an island for a period of time?
Yeah.
They will usually have their own teams, right? And then they would develop their leaders. Okay. And then self-actualization, that will be at the end. I'm gonna show you what kind of model this is, and I'm gonna explain all of the terms. So this is based on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you guys remember this? Okay. So they suggest that humans tend to satisfy their lower level needs before they pursue higher level needs. So at the bottom, it will be physiological, such as breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, excretion, etc. After you satisfy your physiological needs, you go to safety. So such as you will try to secure your body. In real life, you will try to secure your employment, your resources, and then your family, health, and properties. Okay. So that would be safety. After you secure your safety, you will start to try to seek love and belongingness. Those will be friendship, family, or sexual intimacy. After that, it will be esteem. So those will be your self-esteem, like how confident you are, your confidence, your achievement. You try to gain respect from others, and you try to respect others. Okay. And then lastly, it will be self-actualization. Those will be morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, and acceptance of facts. Does this make sense? Do you want me to give examples?
Can you give examples for self-actualization a little bit?
Actualization?
Yeah.
So let's say after you establish your leaders on an island, and then you need to make sure everyone is fair, right? You're trying to be moral. Let's say if you find a dead person, do you loot them or do you bury them? So those will be after you have met all the bottom needs. If you haven't met them, you see a dead people, you may even consider eating the flesh, right? Because you haven't met those needs. Okay. Does that make sense for everyone? Yes.
I'm just curious, in some situations, though, like, there will be some people who will hold, like, I guess it's not, well, I guess it would be esteem about physiological things if they have, like, a certain set of morals. Like, some people might refuse to, eat another human.
Oh, yeah.
That means that they'll starve.
Yep.
Does that kind of go against the hierarchy?
Yes. So this is just what Maslow find to apply to many people. It doesn't apply to everyone. And sometimes people's lower needs, the orders can change. Right? Okay. All right. So you guys know the meanings of each one, right? Okay. And no questions? Okay. Now let's do a practice question. Natalie is a single mom who wants to send her daughter to private school. When she meets a rich man who wants to marry her, she says yes, even though she does not love him. According to Maslow, Natalie's behavior suggests that she's motivated to satisfy her what needs? I hear B, safety. Okay. Do you guys agree?
What was the top one? I was like the last one was self-actualization, right? I say maybe it could be esteem, maybe.
Esteem?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like she wouldn't be doing esteem, though, because love and belonging is below esteem, and she clearly is not trying to meet love and belonging based on it.
Is that? Yep. So it should be safety. Let's take a look at this again. So safety is your resources, your morale, and then, wait, this is family, health, property. So family, her daughters, resources, money. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. In high school, there is a great desire to make friends, to be part of a group. According to Maslow, which stage of motivation would most teenagers be in?
Love and belonging.
Okay. You guys agree? Pretty simple, right? Love and belonging. Okay. So human needs. We are social animals. So we have a need to belong and to affiliate with others. This is a basic and universal human motivation for mass majority. Unless you're a psychopath, a sociopath, you don't really need that. But for regular people, okay. So belongingness, this is the need to be accepted by a group. So you become a member of the group. Affiliation, that's the person's need to feel a sense of involvement and belonging within that social group. Okay? So they're kind of different, but related. So what do you think? Does this also apply to the online world? Yes? Yes? How so? Can you think of any scenario?
Like friend groups.
Friend groups?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually read something involving like how online stuff can be dangerous because of the need to feel like you're belonging. So a lot of people, like some younger people, end up joining groups online that are not, good for their development.
Mm-hmm.
They can be like, just amoral or something like that.
Yeah.
Like bad groups, but simply because they're able to get a sense of belonging and acceptance from this group,
Mm-hmm.
they can end up going like down the wrong path, I guess.
Could be. So have you guys heard that people don't get along with real life friends, real life classmates? So they find online friends. Or they play video games, they have their own clan, their group, right? So yes, this definitely applies to online world as well. So they did a study called cyberball paradigm, and this is on ostracism. What they did is they have a real participant playing with two confederates. So those will be researchers pretending to be players. And they try to pass the ball to each other. After a while, maybe 2 minutes, the two confederates will only pass balls to each other, but not the real participants. And the real participants actually feel really mad about it, even though it's online. It's not like real and you don't really gain or lose anything from this. But the feeling of ostracism is severe. Like it really hurts people's feelings. Does that make sense? And if you play sports and if you know basketball, when you're on a team, your teammates only pass to each other but not you, you feel ostracized even though you're on the team, right? So that kind of explains why belongingness and affiliation is a little bit different. One is you're in the group, but the other one is you're involved in the group.
And an involved one is affiliation, right?
Yes. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Another human need will be meaning motivation. This is the desire to understand meanings and make sense. So there are three components of meaning. First, we have coherence. So that means that things need to make sense and they are comprehensible. Have you guys heard of the cognitive dissonance theory?
No.
Okay. How many of you have? Okay, so the cognitive dissonance theory means that when you make a decision, but you know that you shouldn't do it, you will make up reason for it.
Oh.
So it's kind of like the example that I showed you last time, the person who was trying to pick who they were willing to work with, and then they ended up showing the person that they didn't select. They will still make up reasons for that. So that's cognitive dissonance. They didn't like it, but they made the decision. So they need to rationalize it. Another example would be smokers. They know that smoking is bad for them, but they keep smoking. They have this cognitive dissonance. They know it's bad, but their behavior is doing the opposite. And then creating this cognitive dissonance. They don't feel good about it. So they need to make some kind of excuses for this. Does that make sense? Cognitive dissonance? Can someone give me another example for cognitive dissonance?
Like procrastination.
Can you elaborate?
I feel like people are like, oh, I have to get this thing done that's like due in 2 days, but like they know they should do it now, but they find like excuses to like not do it for like, oh, I'm too tired or something, oh, I should probably do dishes or do laundry or something like that. Like do something else so they don't have to do homework.
That could be an example of cognitive dissonance, but how you explain it doesn't explain the cognitive dissonance part.
Okay.
I'll give you another example. A person who's very environmental friendly. However, this person has to drive to work, otherwise the person will be late. He feels bad for driving, but he can't really take the bus. So that's like a cognitive dissonance. The person wants to be environmental friendly, but the behavior is not environmental friendly. Right? Your cognition, and your behavior are conflicting. Right? Can you think of any other example? There are a ton of them.
Oh,
Yes.
I mean, I guess some examples are like someone saying that they want to do good on an exam and then just not studying for it at all. if you do how many exams and they just don't.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of, they're not doing what they want to do. I guess we don't really have any explanation for that, but their behavior is not matching their.
Yes, and they also need to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Try to think, because this happens a lot. What about you trying to work out, but you have cheat days? Right? You're on a diet, but sometimes you eat crappy food. You think, oh, it's okay, but you really shouldn't do that, right? Okay. What else? I'll take one more. Yes.
You walked into the store just to get bread and milk, but you see something on sale, so you buy it.
What will be the cognitive dissonance here?
Because you can justify it because you're getting a better value, even though you don't even intend to.
So the cognition part is you're only buying bread and milk,
Right.
and then you ended up buying other things, and you don't feel good about it.
Right.
Okay? Would you guys agree? I never had that experience because when I see something, I'll just buy it. Never had experienced cognitive dissonance in that process. But let's say if you're on a budget, you don't have a lot of money,
Right.
that could be a case for cognitive dissonance. Okay. Do you guys understand this now? All right. So another component of meaning is purpose. So we need to have a sense of direction in life. If you don't have that, you're kind of lost. You don't know what you want to do. You don't have motivation. That's why sometimes we say people are not motivated. They don't know what they're doing in life. Right? So that's purpose. And next is significance. So that's the sense of mattering. So we have this theory called the terror management theory. How many of you guys heard of this? No? Okay, so this theory suggests that, okay, this is kind of dark, but once I talk about it, you will kind of think about it. So we don't really think about death, usually, right? But now if I ask you to think about death, it can happen to anyone. It can happen to you, it can happen any moment. So now death becomes salient. And if I show you another video about how death looks like, family members dying and all that, now that becomes very salient. Your behavior will be different from before. Before you realize death is so common, you will procrastinate. You will do the things that you want to do maybe later. You don't want to do it now. But if you know that you're going to die tomorrow, are you going to still be in class today? Probably not, right? I'm definitely not going to be here. So that's terror management theory. If you know a friend or family member who's dying, your decision will be different. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes?
Are these theories going to be in the textbook, or are you going to have like in your notes for the PowerPoint?
It's in the notes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. All right. Any thoughts or questions? No? All right, I'm not gonna, maybe I'll ask you for some examples. Terror management theory. Do you guys know any examples?
Well,
Yes.
I had a question that you would know more about. I feel like I watched like a movie involving a topic in China where like they avoid telling elderly people when they have conditions that are going to lead to their death. And I don't know if that's like really a widespread thing in China or not.
It really depends. So, what's the situation here? Would you tell the patient that they're dying?
I would.
You would?
'Cause I feel like honesty is important, so I think
Uh-huh.
finish what they want to do. I guess because of the terror management theory, like if you don't let them know about it, then they're just going to
Okay.
act like it's normal.
So there's another thing is that when you know that you're dying, and there's certain stage. First of all, it's denial, and then you get frustrated. Do you guys know that? The 5 steps? Yeah. So at the end, it's acceptance. What if you don't have the time to go through all the 5 steps? It would be miserable for them to know that they're dying. They don't have the time to do what they want. Right? So, so your question kind of applies to me right now. My grandma, she's diagnosed with cancer in January, and we didn't tell her because we don't want to influence her mood. But I definitely want to go home soon so that I can see her. And I noticed my behavior is definitely changed. It's not the same. I try to work harder. I try to graduate early. If I can leave early, all the stuff, all the decisions, all the behavior is different. Sometimes I try not to think about it because it just adds a lot of stress on person. But yes, I know a lot of people, they don't tell elderly. They want them to live happily for the rest of their life, especially if you know that there's no cure. There's nothing much that you can do. So yeah, I don't know how the situation is here, how they will treat their patients. But yeah, I know in China, people sometimes don't tell them. Yep. Also, here's a side note, but it's super interesting. So the brain, the human brain, it has healing powers. If you think that you're taking a medicine that's going to help you, but it's actually a placebo.
Yeah, the
If you, yeah, so if your brain believes it, your body actually heals itself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is proved. It's amazing. And maybe that's another reason that sometimes if there's nothing else you can do, maybe lying to them can actually help lift up their mood a little bit, make sure they stay healthy and mentally healthy as well. Right? Okay. Good question though, good question. All right, any other questions? Good. All right. We have enough examples. So let's say you're on a boat that overturns. It contains your 5-year-old and your 1-year-old children of the same sex. The boat sinks and you can save only one. Whom would you choose to save?
God.
Quick question. Who would you save, the 5-year-old? Would you save the 1-year-old? For those who haven't made the decisions. Are you just thinking about it? Okay, so let's do it again. Quickly, don't overthink. You have to choose.
I'll go.
Like you're on the boat right now, you need to save one. 5-year-old? Okay, 1-year-old. I would say 5-year-old is more. What about online students? You can just type either A or B. It's a messed up question, but it might happen. It might happen. So here's what they say. Okay, more people would choose A, right? Why? Why is that?
Because they have more time with to give them to that person, maybe. They have like a stronger bond with them.
Stronger bonds, or they have a better chance of survival, right? You know, a 5-year-old is easier to take care of than a 1-year-old, right? Okay, maybe you're not thinking about that, but if you chose the 5-year-old, part of the reason could be they're more likely to survive afterwards. What about this? You're on a boat that overturns. It contains your 40-year-old and your 20-year-old children of the same sex. The boat sinks and you can save only one. Whom would you choose to save? A, 40-year-old, B, 20-year-old, Okay, everyone chooses 20-year-old. What about online students? Let's see. Okay, B. Why?
Same reason.
Same reason?
They got a longer life.
They have a longer life, and you said something? They haven't lived as much? You want them to experience more? Okay, so what exactly does the 40-year-old experience that the 20-year-old might not experience?
20 years.
Graduating college,
Maybe
getting married, having offsprings?
Yeah.
Okay, so this might be a little dark, but the 40-year-old might already have their offsprings. Their genes is passed on. But the 20-year-old might not. So sometimes we choose the 20-year-old because you want to pass more genes. Maybe you're not like consciously thinking about it, but that's just how evolution works, right? Okay, next. A married couple has a new child. The grandparents are aesthetic. Who do you think will be kinder to the child? The mother's mother or the mother's of the father? If you think it's A, okay. If you think it's B, okay, more A's than B's. Let's see, online students. A, B, okay, mostly A's. Why is that? I'll take one. Just, what do you think? Yeah.
Usually, females closer to the mother than a guy.
Okay, usually they're closer to the mother. Okay, I'm gonna. Who has a different answer?
Just women are like, I don't know, maternity reason, like that natural maternity they would feel.
Okay, so here it says because mom has probably called her mom to tell her about her pregnancy, not the dad. It's kind of close. So one theory is that the mother definitely knows that child is hers, but not the father. You get it? Right? It's kind of dark, but you got it, right?
Okay,
Same with the father's parents. They usually you assume, yeah, that's your kid, but deep down you don't know, right? But the mother can be 100% sure if it comes out of her womb, that's her child, not the father. Okay. All right. Cool. So those questions kind of have this extension. We still have some time. So difference in jealousy. Sexual jealousy. In this scenario, you suspect that while your boyfriend or girlfriend was on vacation, he or she had a one-night stand. You realize that even they did have sex with the other person, they will probably not see each other again. How upset do you think you will feel in this situation? So that's a question regarding to sexual jealousy. Another jealousy will be emotional jealousy. So same scenario, but you found out your partner fell in love with someone else. They developed the feelings, they did not have sex, and they will not see each other again. How upset do you think if this happened? So that would be more like emotional jealousy. Do you understand the differences?
Yeah.
Do you think there's a gender difference here?
Like,
Yes?
what you mean by like there's a gender difference?
So would guys be more sexually jealous or emotionally jealous, or would women be more sexually jealous or emotionally jealous, or guys and women are the same?
I think they're the same.
You think they're the same? You think there's a difference? Okay. So would you think that men will be more likely to be sexually jealous or emotionally jealous? Okay, and then women will be, okay, why is that?
I just feel like women tend to like, not more emotional, but like care more about the emotional part
Uh-huh.
of the relationship when men don't.
Okay, okay. Do you guys agree with
I've
that?
actually
You-
heard the complete opposite. I've heard like relationships that the men sometimes are more like emotionally, what's it called, interested than sexually interested, and the women are more sexually interested than emotionally interested.
Which one would you guys agree with? or you have heard both? You heard both? Which one would you tend to lean on?
I mean, I think
Side.
societally we usually like think that guys are more sexually jealous and emotionally jealous, at least
Uh-huh.
just from like how just from social expectations, I think.
Okay.
And what we see in media especially.
All right. So based on not just culture, we're just doing that aside. We don't know like what people grew up with. But let's talk about evolution. It's the same. Man, they want to make sure the offspring is theirs. So they will be more jealous if they know there's a sexual affair. For women, they know the children are going to be theirs, but they need a genuine father to take care of them. So they need to make sure the father is there for them for a long period of time. They're loyal, emotionally loyal. Does that make sense?
So it's more from like a survival point of view then.
Yeah, evolutionary point of view. Okay, I embedded something here. If you're interested, you can take a look at that. I was gonna say something before that. Whatever. So this is based on the evolutionary model. So it says that motivation is a product of automatic, involuntary, and unlearned responses. So instinct, the term means that we have hardwired automatic behavior. And the ultimate goal for us is to enhance survival, to pass down our genes and make sure we survive. So that's based on evolutionary model. And that's why I asked you those questions and how do you explain it from this point of view. Okay. Another thing that could motivates us would be arousal. So arousal is the state of being physically alert, awake, and attentive. Based on the optimal arousal model, this suggests that everyone has a peak performance level of arousal. Okay. So we are motivated to behave in ways to maintain optimal level of arousal. I'm going to give you some examples to help you understand this. Also, arousal level is individually based. My peak arousal level could be different from yours. Okay. So this explains some unnecessary actions such as curiosity and risk-taking. People need to achieve that arousal level to perform the best. So some people will do some risky stuff to achieve that arousal level. And they think that's their peak. For me, I'm not that extreme, so I will do basketball or listen to music, and then I achieve my optimal or peak arousal level. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here is the Yerkes-Dawson law. This is a law that explains the relationship between performance and arousal level. In this chart, if you see, I'm going to use the mouse. Here, this is efficiency, how well you perform on the task. And this is your arousal level. So when you are in this section, so you're not very aroused, low arousal level, is called the zone of relaxation. Your efficiency is not high. But when you get to the zone of curiosity, your arousal level is at the peak. This is the optimal arousal level for you to perform. So you be most efficient if you get that arousal level. After that, it becomes frenzy. So this is the zone of anxiety. Too much arousal. You don't know what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, should be pretty simple. And then this model also suggests that for easy tasks, a higher level of arousal generally increases performance. But for harder tasks, more difficult tasks, a lower level of arousal is better, such as you're taking a math exam. You don't want to be very aroused. You don't want to drink a lot of coffee or energy drink. But when you try to run, that's relatively easy. You're just doing the same motion. You want to be more aroused. So that would be an example. Okay? Yes?
Is it because with like sometimes with like processing information and thinking, you don't need to be so aware of so many things?
We can talk about that later. Right now we don't have much time for discussion, but if you're interested, we can talk about that later. And then next we have the drive reduction model. This is the motivation is balancing our biological needs and to maintain homeostasis. So our imbalance of the body creates need. So those will be biological requirements. And then drive will be psychological state that provides motivation. And incentive, those will be the external objects or events that motivates behavior. I'm going to give you some examples to understand those terms. So first we need to have an unbalanced equilibrium. And then it creates the need and the drive. And then you will have that behavior to satisfy your need and reduce the drive. And then your equilibrium is restored. One quick example would be, I feel cold. That's unbalanced equilibrium, right? I don't feel comfortable in cold. So my need is to put on clothes. And then my drive is, I'm gonna find clothes. I feel cold, that's psychological. And then my behavior is put on clothes. And then I feel warm. My behavior stops. Okay, that makes sense? Mm-hmm. So that could be how we're motivated to do things. Okay, we are right on time. Any questions? I will post the PowerPoints later. Don't worry about this one for tomorrow's exam.
You mean Wednesdays?
Oh yeah, Wednesday, sorry. Wednesday exam. If you don't have any questions, I will see you on Friday. Yes?
I know it's been busy, but like, did she also set it up for like how the first exam, like if you need to use like on the lock instead of the lockdown browser?
I think she said that you can only use the
I think it's
on lock.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's what.
Okay. I don't know if you should send out a notification, but I could ask her and see if she can send an email to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
I don't know if it's easier to do it.
I don't remember which one is the first one.
Oh,
I
so
don't remember which
they
one.
said Friday is a reading day, so I will not see you on Friday.
Yep.
All right.
Sir, I know last time you said the room's gonna be open, like for test testing. I thought you when you said that you meant you were gonna be here also.
No, I will not be here, but you can be here to have the same environment
Yeah.
where you learn
Okay.
the material. Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I have a question though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm talking about like that drive thing. So why is it that like for like more complex things we need to have like a lower level of arousal?
Uh-huh.
Why is that? Is because arousal is like being aware, and sometimes more complex ways of thinking, like hyper focusing is like a bad thing, or like too much. Like best way I can say, like think of it as like hyper focusing sometimes can lead to you missing things on like a more complex problem.
I don't really agree with your theory because when you're taking an exam,
Mm-hmm.
when it's very cognitive demanding, you want to be very focused. So it doesn't explain.
Okay. Well, well, I've had exams that's more like problem solving, and like in terms of sometimes the answer isn't as clear as like it was taught. Like you have to like.
Okay.
So that's why I say like hyper thinking. You're only thinking on like the way it was taught, and instead of like thinking of in terms of like how can this be used differently? Like in algebra, you have to move like things around. Like that kind of mentality is like, okay, maybe this way is not the right. Maybe if I try it a different way.
Yeah.
But if you're hyper focused, you're only thinking the one way you practice or was taught, and not thinking of the other possible ways of
I wouldn't define focus like that. When you're very focused, I don't think you can only focus on one thing.
think-
But you focus on the task itself.
I think the like ideas of arousal are slightly different because I feel like arousal is a lot more